Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I am your host, Lore Runner. Not Lore Reloaded, Lore Master, not Lore Dude. I don't actually remember how many others there are. There's several lore people out there at this point in time. There's only one Lore Runner, and that would be me, consequently. I suppose that's why it's okay to be the Lore Runner, you know. That way, people know it's me, as opposed to, just Lore Runner. I don't know. It feels weird constantly wandering around calling myself with the at the beginning of my name, Like I'm the cheat or something. I suppose I should stop. Just double checking a couple things here while I wait for this to go live. It looks like it's mostly live at the moment, which is cool. Come on. There we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Seraphim, Ice Tray, Hazardous, Arathrobo, Berenian, Mr. Red Platy, Micromono, Tyrant Loader. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Real quick. If you're on the VOD or whatever and you are Anime Pantsu, Nadaz, or Sacred King, please get a hold of me and tell me if you're okay with delaying the head and run. Let's just get that out right up front. Also, if you are Vic Rattleham, Rit, these people aren't going to get a hold of me. None of these people are going to get a hold of me. Never mind. We'll just kind of do that without their input. But if any of those three people, let me know, because we need to talk about something with regards to the head and run, and that needs to be pushed back, and blah, 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 blah. Good morning, Pave Maniac, Tuxedo Brian, Dalton James. Oh, Sacred King. Holy crap, you're here. Chocolate Rob, Little Pixie Nerd, Cielo, what's up? Sacred King, are you okay with the head and run being delayed until, there's additional content which is being released for it, which will probably be at the end of the year? Yes, no. Now we wait. All eyes turn towards the Sacred King, 01. Get the floodlights, pointing at him. Death Star shows up, pointing down at him. Okay, got it. We're not asking you the question, Mike Romano. You're not part of this, Mike Romano. Walk away, sir. I'm only asking the people who funded the run, which leaves Anime Pantsu and Nadaz 1. Good morning, Larian. Hello, Sir Fudge. Alright, so show news. Obviously, what I just mentioned. We're trying to push back the head and run. I also am kind of wanting to push back the West of Loathing run. It was supposed to be next, but the person who is the primary funder of the run seems to have vanished off the face of the earth. He mentioned he's got some stuff going on, and I don't know if or when he'll be back. Now, I don't want to pry into his life. That's not my business. So other than just being worried, I'm kind of thinking I might want to push that one back on the off chance that he's able to come back. That's kind of in a limbo. Alex, if you happen to watch the VOD by some miracle, please let me know. And hopefully you are okay, whatever the hell is going on. So that's neat. Hey, Kira White Noise. Hello, Jaludo. Where's Loreweek? One other thing I want to mention. So several people have tried to put money towards Control and Crosscode, and they're not even on the website at all, if you're paying attention. The reason why is because they're technically locked in. About 2 weeks ago, someone donated a fairly large amount of money to both runs, which would have locked in both runs. However, just about any time someone donates a large amount of money, I have to wait a month in order to actually verify that donation's real, basically, just to put that as simply as possible. So those runs are technically locked in. That'll actually be officially confirmed on the 21st, about 2 weeks from now. So that's why, if you're wondering why Crosscode and Control aren't even on the website, that's why. Good morning, Mendekler. Good morning, Sierra Mike. Good morning, Glue Up Alex. Thank you, Joe Deb. I do try very, very much to do what I can. Good morning, Lord Haramond. Now, speaking of which, there are two people who yesterday donated towards Homeworld Cataclysm. Now, this is on me. I forgot that Homeworld Cataclysm is locked in. But Homeworld Cataclysm is locked in. So no. And those two people would be Lord Firestorm and Sierra Mike. So if either of you want to redirect those donations, please let me know. Otherwise, stabbing will happen. Now, believe it or not, that's all I've got for show news. I'm kind of stalled completely on the theater right now. Hat just gave me some lines, so that's awesome. I'm going to spend some time today pushing those in. And Atai too. And otherwise, we're just kind of waiting. You know, I've reached out to every single one of the remaining actors. All of them have gotten a hold of me. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. So I lost one of my actors again. And I am currently kind of in the process of trying to get a replacement for that actor. Ogre is someone who has expressed interest in replacing him for Garland. But in the interest of honesty, if anybody else feels like they can do a major role in the theater, please let me know. When I say major role, I mean it's a character with a decent amount of lines, and therefore I'm going to be a little bit pickier about what I require in terms of voice acting quality and microphone quality. So that's a thing. But on the off chance anyone is similarly interested, please let me know. Doom64 it shall be, sir. Let me adjust this down here. There we go. Snorting lines? What? Anyways, last bit of show news. There might, be a thing with Lore Reloaded this evening. I say might because all he did was say, hey, you're available at 5, right? And I was like, sure, for what? And then he didn't actually respond to me and hasn't since. That was yesterday. So I have no idea what he's on about. I have no idea what he's talking about. So maybe there'll be a thing. I don't know. I'll mention something in Discord if there is. All right. Random news. I got a bunch of random news this week. Whole bunch of random stuff has happened. Like, this week, Sonic Doctor actually subscribed for 27 months. Can you believe that? So there's your random news for the day. All right, now that we're done with random news, thank you very much, Sonic Doctor, for your support. As ever and always, I put that towards Bioshock. Thank you. And thank you for watching my show, Platy. I'll put that towards Surviving Mars. News! How many of you remember Microprose? I suppose I should raise my hand on that one, because obviously I remember Microprose, right? They're one of the companies that was consumed by EA back in the day and then destroyed, and just, oh my god, it's actually funny. And by funny, I mean incredibly horrible what happened to them. Like, let's see. So you're probably like, who the heck are Microprose? Let's see. If you've played Civilization or Master of Orion or Master of Magic or Railroad Tycoon, you know, a bunch of older games like that, you've probably heard of Microprose. Thank you very much, Joe Dem. Appreciate the sub, sir, very much. Thank you. Oh, yes, Happy Mother's Day, by the way. I was going to mention that, too. I guess I'll mention that before we get into the Microprose thing. And, by the way, Joe Deb, if you want to put that towards something, as far as increasing priority in a future stream, please let me know. But yeah, Happy Mother's Day. Quick story I just wanted to share here. So, I was going to get my mom a present, which is basically one of those smart TVs that has, you know, Hulu and Netflix and all that fun stuff baked in. She said no, she doesn't want it. And I was like, okay, sure. I mean, if you don't want it, you're not going to use it, then there's no point in the gift. So, sure, I'm not going to do that. So I'm like, what the heck can I get her? So I was like, you know what? I know what I'll get her, because she's stuck at home, and you know they have limited resources, and they're in, you know, another state which is having a much harder time getting a hold of resources. Basically, they have to do the go early to the elderly only part of the grocery store thing in order to get groceries at all. So I'm like, tell you what, I'll go ahead and buy you a very nice meal. And I did. I got the nicest Mexican restaurant in the area to get them a delivery. It was a colossal pain because the delivery driver apparently had no idea how to find where they lived, and it was this massive back and forth thing. And from what I understand, apparently he actually had to stop by at a random place, knock on a random door, ask them how to find their number, and it was this whole thing. But the food actually reached them. Food actually reached them. Apparently it was very good. Mom actually sent me pictures of it just to prove that she got it. And it's this whole thing. Yep, here it is. Yep. So that was my Mother's Day gift to my mom. I hope they enjoyed it thoroughly. But yeah, it was this big hassle. It's gotten to the point where it's very hard to buy from my mother at this point because, I mean, there's a lot of issues at this point. By the way, thank you very, very much to Zara as ever and as always. Everyone brutally murder to Zara. Please and thank you. Now, okay, never mind. He answered. Never mind. Cancel the hit order. Red light. Microprose. So, the last thing that really happened was they were kind of shunted off. I'm trying to find the specific. They basically were destroyed. I already mentioned that. But the Microprose brand continued to exist. It was owned by a group called Cybergun, which was then purchased by David Ligeti, who is one of the persons who made Titan IM, for those of you who remember that. Can you put that towards Trials of Mana? Let me double check really quick. Yes, you can. Absolutely. Obviously, that's Trials of Mana remake, but we'll put that towards the Trials of Mana remake. Thank you again very much, sir. So he, he was someone who worked on that, and he basically bought the brand, and apparently has spent the last, that would be 16 years, slowly developing it and putting money into it, and pulling some of the original developers of some of the older games in, so they could suddenly start making games again. And all of a sudden, Microprose, just last week, they announced they're pushing out 3 new games, which I don't even remember the full names of. I wrote it down. I have a lot of notes right now. I'm trying to bounce between them. Sea Power, Second Front, and Task Force Admiral. Now, we know very little about these. These were just announced. But there's 3 new Microprose games coming out. So Sea Power is a modern naval strategy game. Task Force Admiral is a World War II Pacific theater strategy game. And Second Front, I believe... Let me double check my thoughts here really quick, because that's the only one I didn't look into. Yep, nope. Second Front is a more grid-based World War II tank combat kind of a thing. Looks pretty cool, honestly. What it looks like they're doing, especially with Second Front, is they're like, okay, we're going to focus entirely on the core gameplay aspect of things and not on the graphics, because Second Front looks terrible. But when I say looks terrible, I mean visually. It looks serviceable. But the actual gameplay, from what I've been able to look into, and they've been showing off bits and pieces on their Twitter feed. Speaking of which, here, let me go ahead and link that. There you go. I'll be linking this in the VOD, of course. They've been showcasing little tidbits of what they can do and what the AI can accomplish. You can see what I mean. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see Second Front right there. The UI is actually pretty decent. And it looks like a legitimately good game. I'm actually excited. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't believe any of those have release dates, and I am correct about that. Just double checking my thoughts here. But cool. It's nice to have some positivity. That's neat. So that's cool. Now that's about the only really good news I have this week. No, I'm kidding. I have a couple of good news bits. But let's move on to talking about... Yes, that is correct, from Falkenstein, from what I understand as well. Honestly, there's not a lot of news because this just went live last week, and they've apparently been under the radar a lot for the past 16 years while they've been working on this. I didn't even know. I'll be completely honest. I didn't even know they'd been doing this long and working on this long. So, the Tokyo Game Show was canceled. That's neat. That's not surprising at all. There's less... Here, I'll go in as usual. Here's the link to the thing I'm talking about. They are going to have an online version of the Tokyo Game Show, so we'll see. Yeah, yeah. What is surprising is it wasn't canceled earlier. Speaking of which, I don't actually have a link for this one, but as I was looking up on this, they also mentioned that the Paris Game Week in France will also be discontinued. Again, kind of obvious, not really surprising. It's just another string of these things. I've been speaking of online events replacing physical events. I've been trying to follow the Summer Game Fest, and so far we haven't actually had anything of significance there. The next thing is going to be today, and then the next thing after that is going to be some new game reveal, which is going to be this coming Tuesday. You can find more about that at summergamefest.com, I think. Because they've got a schedule there. Yep, summergamefest.com. I am correct. So, next bit of news. Jedi Fallen Order gets New Game Plus. Not really. Himmy hoke. I was so excited about this because for those of you who didn't catch it, Jedi Fallen Order was a really great game for me. It absolutely nailed a lot of awesome features that I was very excited about. And it's the first Dark Souls game I've ever liked. Was really into it. Was really digging it. And I'm like, yes, New Game Plus. It's not. It's not actually New Game Plus. So they've unlocked, you can carry forward cosmetics, and there's some new challenges you can do, and you can unlock a few new things, which, like, for example, the red lightsaber and the Inquisitor outfit. And that's kind of it. Now, what's funny about this is such a very minor thing, because the red lightsaber was already in the game. Anybody who remembers my playthrough remembers that I actually showed off a red lightsaber for my character. It took an extremely minor bit of editing. That wasn't even a mod. It was just editing one little value for the crystal color. The Inquisitor outfit was also already in the game. So all they did was basically put it into the game as a feature, something that was already there. So whoop-de-doo. But there's new challenges. That's something, right? New Journey Plus is what they're calling it. At least it's a free update. I'm not going to complain. Not really. But for those asking, no, it's not going to get an additional gameplay positive because that's not New Game Plus. Not in any substantial manner. Pity, but whatever. We didn't talk about Evo. No, I don't actually really follow Evo. But Evo's going digital, apparently? Question mark? I haven't looked into this, like I said. Paid New Game Plus. I have not seen that, so I don't know. It depends on what they do with it. It really is. New Game Plus, I mentioned this to Blue Alex. There's no such thing as an automatic plus or a minus for the system, not anymore. It depends on how they implement it in all cases. So whether or not it's an actual plus or a minus depends on how they implement it in all cases. Speaking of Star Wars, they're making a new Star Wars film. This was announced on May 4th. Now, we know exceptionally little about this. There's the tweet from Star Wars themselves. Taika Waititi, which I am probably pronouncing incredibly wrong, is directing and co-writing alongside Christy Wilson Cairns, and they're making a new Star Wars film. We really don't know anything else. Did I get his name right? Holy crap. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it might be set during the High Republic. I know they're trying to push that angle right now. This is such a blank sheet of paper that I almost didn't put this in the news thing. But then I remembered some people would be like, well, aren't you going to talk about the new Star Wars film if I didn't mention it? So here's me talking about it. Moving on. I got nothing. Now, this one... This is an interesting one, so I'm going to link something. This is probably one of the longest links I've ever gotten. This is a post from Marty Stratton, who is the executive producer of Doom 5, Doom Eternal. Okay, you see this? Now, this is a long post. I have actually sat down and read this whole thing because I've been following the Doom Eternal music thing for a bit now. Some of you are probably at least tangentially aware of the Doom Eternal music thing. And if you're only tangentially aware of it, then that's part of why I'm mentioning this, because it's more complex than it originally looked, like way more complex. I recommend that if you care at all, you go ahead and read through that. But all I'm going to say right now is, don't automatically take the I can't think of his name, the song guy's side, and don't automatically assume that it is stupid. It was a little bit of a both sides kind of have some problems there, but honestly, after having read that, I'm actually way more on id's side than I am on McGordon's. Thank you. That's just my opinion, based on what we've seen and what I've read. Not just in that thread, but I did a little more looking into it, because obviously I cared. Like, I'm sorry. When you're given 3 separate deadlines that you just kind of smash through because you're taking forever, officially, some of that's your fault at that point, you know? Anyways, I just wanted to link that and kind of signal boost that, because I feel like there's a little bit too much mud smearing and too much, you know, jumping on his side and automatically assuming that it is terrible and blah, 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 blah. So, signal boost. Apparently, Evo is more information soon. Got it. Evo is going to do some kind of event online, but we have no information on it. Damn it, Mihawk. Shrug. So, we'll see what Evo's doing going forwards, I suppose. Speaking of Doom Eternal, they've already previewed the first actual free update, which is going live, which there's a bunch of things there that are shrug. Now, where the hell is that link? Where's the Slayer link? Sorry, I have a bunch of links up here trying to keep track of everything. Screw it, we'll just pull this up. The big one, it's mostly a multiplayer update. It's going to be doing stuff to battle mode, adding new anti-cheat features, better tutorial, better netcode, rather. Couple little things, you know, expanded tutorials, dashing verticality in water is being changed, toxic damage is being changed, a whole bunch of little features. The only thing that's really noteworthy in this update, which is free, by the way, just to make that clear, but the only really noteworthy thing in this update is Empowered Demon, so check this out. Let's say you're playing through the campaign, and of course you have the online thing, because of course you freaking do. When a player is killed in a single-player campaign, the demon that killed them is then beefed up and teleported to another player's active game. The Empowered Demon, once it dies, I'm assuming you manage to kill the thing, will give you a bunch of additional health and ammo and bonus experience towards, you know, the whole level thing. Not quite a Nemesis system, but it's an interesting little feature. I hope there's an option to turn that off. I wouldn't, personally. I think that's kind of cool, but I do hope there's an option to turn that off. Interesting idea, though. Moving on. Like I said, a lot of little bits. Speaking of which, here's news that there will be news. I hate news that there will be news. So here's news that there will be news. On June 11th, there will be news about Cyberpunk. Okay, that's it. That's it. That's all the news. Moving on. Now, that's all the news about the news, I mean. This one I've been reading a little bit into. So, there's a new game coming out called Gollum. Gollum. And Gollum is... here, I'll go ahead and give you the link, as usual. Nope, that's not news, Hasdus. I don't give a damn. So, this is an action-adventure game following Gollum before the events of the novels.
You follow me. They all do.
And the film. Now, this is an interesting idea. Well, unfortunately, we really don't know a lot of specifics about it, so I don't really have a lot of information to share with you. It is going to be coming out on PC and console. It is going to try and showcase both Smeagol and Gollum as a thing. Like, it's going to be a gameplay mechanic. The name of the game is Gollum. It's called Lord of the Rings Gollum. That's the full name of the thing. There's a lot of interesting potential here, which is why I'm just kind of hesitating to talk about this right now. I'm not sure what to make of it. What's interesting is this is also going to be coming out alongside the Lord of the Rings television series, which we've known of for some time, the Amazon one. I've said before that the idea of doing an entirely stealth-focused game would be a cool idea. After all, I've played Thief. So, we'll see. But yeah, I think this is part of the push ever since the Tolkien estate kind of shifted gears, which happened actually about 3 years ago, and trying to push Lord of the Rings as a multimedia thing. Thank you very, very much, Jesse's Mask. Very much obliged and appreciate. Thank you. And I'll put that towards Ocarina and Majora, obviously. So, I think that's actually it for random news. Let me double check here. Yep. There's only one other bit of news that happened in the week that has nothing to do with genitalia. It's a true statement. And that's that we got a gameplay trailer for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. No, I will not talk about rumors that are extremely unsubstantiated. That rumor is actually about a month old at this point. See, the thing is, it's just a remastered Taito. So what's a remaster do? Well, it usually polishes up the graphics, makes it so it can be visible in 4K, and is easier to run on modern machines. That's it. So in short, I don't expect anything, even if they actually do make a remaster. Now, a remake, that's a little different. But they're not doing a remake. They'd never do a remake. Gameplay trailer. Now, this is nothing new at all whatsoever. Part of the reason I'm bringing it up, though, is because Zachariah Jebediah once made a lot of fun of me for the fact that, I was very against gameplay trailers when it came to E3. Our annual make fun of E3 streams that we do. And that's what it is. We sit here and we just kind of poke fun at things and see what things we're actually excited about. I'm always pretty open and obvious about that because I don't want people to think that, I'm covering E3 because I'm super excited. I'm covering E3 because it's funny. Occasionally, there are actually cool things that are showcased at E3 that I get actually excited about. But for the most part, no, we're there to take the piss. So, that being said, I have actually had quite a few. Yeah, here's $1 chocolate rum. This I have been very strict about the concept of gameplay trailers and how they do things, and it really boils down to 3 categories of trailers. So there's actual gameplay trailers. That's Nintendo. They're not the only ones who do that, but that's kind of Nintendo's shtick. However, if you remember, when Assassin's Creed Origins was being announced, do you remember that E3? We were covering that E3. Immediately after the Ubisoft conference, they sat down for half an hour and just sat down and played Assassin's Creed Origins. That's what actually sold me on that game, if you'll remember. Them just sitting and actually playing the game. So, gameplay. Actual, real gameplay. Then there's the middle ground. This is the one I get the most flack of, because some people look at me like, oh, Laura, you're an idiot and you're stupid. And both of those statements are correct. I am an idiot and I am stupid. But they do these gameplay trailers which are scripted. Heavily scripted. Someone sat down and actually went through and, recorded this stuff and recorded these shots and they just spliced them together and blah, blah, blah. Now, scripted gameplay trailers have their purpose. There's a reason for those things to exist. There is. It's not for me, and I don't give a damn, because it's fake gameplay, effectively. It's heavily scripted. It's heavily crafted. But at least there is a purpose in showing that, because what you're trying to do is specifically show off a specific thing. It's like a trailer, but trying to showcase some kind of actual mechanics. The problem is, for me, when I look at that, all I see is, okay, well, what's the game actually like? Like, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Yeah, like Division did this. You remember that? Division? I even like Division, by the way. But if you remember the Division trailer at E3, and obviously Anthem did that. But there's other examples of this too. In fact, to prove that I'm being fair on this one, Breath of the Wild had a scripted gameplay trailer as well. That's neat. And then, of course, at least that is, for the most part, actual gameplay. It's kind of like... How do I phrase this? Anybody know what multi-segment speedruns are? I'll just explain it. You probably don't. There's probably someone in the channel who doesn't know what that means. So a speedrun is when you sit down, you play a game, you try to do very well. If you screw up, you start the game over, or you accept the loss and just keep playing, right? A multi-segment speedrun is when it regularly pauses and you save, and then you do each segment separately. So you like, it's kind of like doing a individual levels run kind of a thing. So you want to do this specific section as quickly and as best as possible. Now you're probably wondering, what's the difference? Well, the difference is, if you screw up in this section, rather than doing the entire game over, you just restart here and do this section over. Now, there's been some drama back and forth about the validity of multi-segment runs, but the big point is you have to label them. Because that person did that level very well. They are actually sitting and they did actually play that game very well. But they probably did that exact level 20 or 30 times in a row to get that ideal outcome, which isn't the kind of thing you're going to get from a full speedrun. Make sense? Now, you probably already see why this is relevant to scripted gameplay. Because while it is actually gameplay, it's not real gameplay. It's gameplay of someone who went through this one thing, trying to get this one outcome 15 or 30 or 50 times, until finally they got a shot they could put in the trailer. Both of those, nevertheless, still actually include Tizara. Without Tizara's presence, those wouldn't actually be Tizara trailers. I'm just gonna wait. So I don't think any of those people are actually here, but if any of you are, you can put that towards something. If you are not there, then I will put it towards head on. That's actually where that's going to go. Anyways. So yeah, at least both of those include gameplay. And you probably know why I'm bringing this up, because the Assassin's Creed Valhalla trailer included no gameplay. You got it. Kooky Soundbus, thank you. And thank you very, very much to Zara. Very much appreciated as always, sir. Thank you. Am I excited for the head-on run? In a year? I'm curious. I'm not excited for anything anymore. Damn it! Wait, Terranigma? Hang on a second. No, Argus Swift. Thank you very, very much for the sub. As ever, I am appreciative of Argus Swift. However, I will not put that towards Tree Whisperer. I will not put that towards Terranigma. But yeah, so, okay, to really get this point across, one of the most common tricks that they'll use is there'll be a little thing, in-engine footage, right? And in fact, some people will actually go so far as to say, this is in-engine footage trailer, or this is a trailer made with in-game footage, right? Battlefront 2 EA is an example of that. You know, they had in-engine footage trailer. I think Battlefront, the first EA Battlefront, did that as well, now that I'm thinking about it. Again, at least we were looking at something that was actually in-engine. Something that's actually there on screen. I'm still not in favor of that. Legitimately. I still think that's bullcrap. But at the very least, that was something that was designed in the engine of the game, so we at least have an idea of what we're looking at. Then, there's Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This is why I'm hammering this point in. This is why I'm smashing this point in as hard as I possibly can. Because what they did was a pure cinematic trailer, which was labeled as a gameplay trailer, and it's as far from a gameplay trailer as possible. Even trailers that don't really, in my opinion, qualify as a true gameplay trailer, like a scripted gameplay trailer or an in-engine gameplay trailer. This is just fully removed from all of that, and it's just a fully cinematic trailer. The second one, I might add, because we already had one at the announcement vid. I'm not sure who to blame for this. There was a guy on Twitter. I can't remember his name. He's one of the guys who's been pushing this Valhalla on Triller, and he's like, "Hey, I know this is not really gameplay. Bear with us. We'll show other gameplay later, and blah blah blah." And yet, that doesn't really offset it as much as I'd like to think. What? What? I mean, I will give Sierra Mike that. I will give Ubisoft that. They've pretty much flat out said, yeah, we screwed up. We sucked. But I want to know how it managed to get to the point of being at this level and then releasing this trailer of nothing, no information being portrayed other than the fact that this is fantasy Valhalla, that this is this is Norse Viking mythology, basically, made into an AC game. Yeah, I see. That's the thing, Taitu. This does seem to be entirely too new at this point, or entirely too normal. Excuse me, entirely too normal at this point. This is one of the reasons I bash this point. It's like I could just picture someone. I haven't actually seen anyone in chat saying this yet. I could just picture someone saying, why do you care? Like, this is just such a relatively minor thing. Who gives a damn? The reason I care is because it's still bad. Now, I will go ahead and admit that I have some legitimate bias here, and I'm going to go ahead and admit that, because I don't give a damn about any trailer that's not gameplay. I really don't. Granted, I've just been getting more and more anti-trailer over the years, and I've noticed this of myself. You notice we don't even cover trailers anymore. We don't actually do trailer analyses anymore. I've just stopped doing that. But if you're going to do a trailer, at least show me something. And this is going to sound like a weird one, but at least something like Kingdom Hearts usually showcases something worth a damn. They do scripted gameplay, but they actually do show off things in the gameplay. Like, they show off spells or moves or mini games or levels or enemies or bosses. There's something there that can make me go, okay, it gives me enough to whet my appetite, and it does what a trailer should do. It gets me interested in the game. Scripted gameplay, but there's something real underneath there. Yeah, at least scripted gameplay makes it. Like I said earlier, there's reasons to do scripted gameplay. Showing off a new mechanic, or trying to show off kind of the things you can do. Again, I'll go back to Breath of the Wild for a second. If you remember, there was a bit in the Breath of the Wild scripted gameplay trailer. One moment. Where he God, I'm trying to remember what he did now. He was like jumping. Oh, right. He was attaching a bomb to the arrow and jumping into the air and did the slowdown and shot down and hit the guy, and it caused the terrain. And they were doing that specifically to showcase some of the stuff you could do in that game, right? Scripted, but showing off the kind of things that could be accomplished in Breath of the Wild. Show off the engine, effectively, because there's so much of a physics thing going on in Breath of the Wild. So sure, okay. But what did we learn from the Valhalla trailer? So, Vikings. There's a raven, which is taking the exact same spot as the eagle or the crow or whatever. I mean, what's funny is the trailer, if I could be so bold, I've already talked about Valhalla. I talked about it last week. And I went down the list of now, right now. I went down the list of things. Okay. I went down the list of things that they that we knew about it, but none of that was released in the trailer. It was just here's the info on the game. It's like, I don't know. I think I'm done. I don't really have much else to add to this. It's just I wanted to once again point out how stupid this is, because I have no idea what they're even thinking at this point. It's possible this is a simple flub, because it could literally just be a problem of improper labeling, which would not be hard to do, really. Stupid, but not that hard to see happening. But is it an improper labeling flub issue, or did someone out there actually think that calling this a gameplay trailer is acceptable? And the reason I mention that is one of the things that every company and every industry in all of human society does is they do what I call pushing the envelope. Or pushing the bubble, rather. Sorry. Let me use my own terminology correctly here. And they try to push the bubble to see what people can tolerate, right? You know, paid mods or DLCs as a very concept. You know, these are things that they push and they say, okay, how much can people tolerate this? Oh, we got a little pushback. We'll come back. Okay, now how much can you tolerate this? And I have a weird feeling that this is part of that they're trying to see if people are more willing to tolerate, I don't have a better word for this, misleading advertising when it comes to game design. Because that used to be a big problem. How many of you remember that? Back in the day, yes, I've heard the rumor, Pika. Back in the day, it was a really common thing to buy a game and not really know what it was about because of deliberately misleading advertising. Remember that? Especially early PC games. And yeah, I think that this is them trying to go back to that, trying to see how far they can go with not showing you the actual game, so you have less of an idea of the quality of the game that you're purchasing, and therefore are going to buy the game without knowing. Just blindly purchase the game. Because let's be clear, the money people want you to buy the game day of. Pre-orders and initial week sales are the ones that matter the most when it comes to games. That's been true for years. That's nothing new. And so by pushing back that information and trying to secure those initial sales, I mean, to be clear, this is not something I'm in favor of. It's just something that would make a lot of sense to me. Thank you very much, Mr. Red. However, I will not allow you to put that head on, by the way. So don't do it. You're going to have to find something else. But thank you very much for the sub, sir. Very much appreciate. Well, it's going to be funded soon, yes. And you need to find something else to put things towards. So Dad just messaged me. He's like, hey, are you going to call, his wife for Mother's Day? And I was like, yeah, later. I'm in the middle of streaming right now. He's like, well, maybe you should... Oh, they're going to be on the lake later. Okay. Do I ever buy a game without knowing what it's about? Did I ever buy a game without knowing it's about? No. I don't think I've ever done that. Going back to Super Mario Bros. 3, which is the first game I ever bought. Final Fantasy IV on the SNES, Joe Deb. Easy answer. I mean, the surprise factor is a thing for people, obviously. I don't want to sound dismissive. Obviously, that's me, and I'm not like every person. But I tend to look into things because I'm frugal. I was taught to be frugal from a very young age. So if someone's like, hey, are you interested in such and such a game? I will look into it and be like, Premiere runs aren't really the same thing, Sinister Ring. I wasn't even thinking about those. That's for the job. That's for the show. However, I do make sure that every run that I premiere run is something that is vested. I make a point of making sure that it's okay, Now, I have rented a whole bunch of games without knowing what they are, back when that was a thing. That really is a very different animal, though, and doesn't even apply nowadays because you can't really do that anymore, not in the same way. But I think I've mentioned this before. I used to live just in walking distance of a rental place, and I used to go and just rent NES games and SNES games later on, like every weekend. I tried out a huge variety of games and discovered a bunch of games that I liked and a bunch of games I didn't like as a consequence of that. So, although, did I save that image? Hang on a second. I think I did. Give me one moment. I might not have saved it here. So there's a a review for a game in a Nintendo Power. Yeah, it looks like I didn't save it here. Darn. For a game called Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. The review was misleading, I think is the way I want to put that. This game is amazing, and anybody who's a fan of RPG should definitely pick it up. There's all this complexity to the game, and I'm like... Sorry, just amusing little thing to keep in mind there. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, I didn't think so. Whatever. Impound lot roof. That's all I got. That's all I got. I'm sorry. I kind of just derailed there because Dad messaged me. He's like, hey, you should stop the stream and call her. And I'm like, I'll call her in a bit. What I want to do right now is chop off the local recording.